get started. Okay, so here's the practice final. And I'm going to start by writing answer guide up here so that I can look back at this later on. Okay, so we are starting off with kind of some free points, because if you have these written down, when you take the final, there's no way that you'll get them incorrect. We need to know the quadratic formula and the discriminant formula. Who can tell me either of those?
Negative minus b
Uh-huh.
plus or minus square root b in parentheses squared
Good.
plus parentheses negative 4
Yes.
plus a plus
Good.
over a. I mean over 2a.
All over 2 times a. Beautiful. So this is a way to put the quadratic formula. You could also just write minus 4ac instead of plus negative 4ac. Both are correct. And I'm going to pause this for... Okay. So there's our quadratic formula. What is our discriminant formula, Michael?
It's b squared minus 4 times a times c.
Good. B squared minus 4 times a times c. Now, something we might notice is that the discriminant is the same thing as what's underneath the radical, underneath the square root. So something I noticed while I was helping some students that I think may help all of you a little bit, especially if you're having trouble with the order of operations when using the quadratic formula, is you could also think of the quadratic formula like this. I'm going to give you a different formula. You don't have to use this if it confuses you, but if it helps, feel free. We could do x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of the discriminant all over 2 times a. So you could just find your discriminant first and then just plug it into your square root. Keep your work a little different. You'll get the same answer either way, just a different way to organize it. Okay, any questions about either of those formulas? We got them? Okay. So on our first page here, we've got 4 questions with quadratic equations where we are going to be solving for all the values of x. Now, I'm going to let you use your preferred method. If you hate factoring, guess what? You don't have to factor. If you would prefer to do the quadratic formula for all 4 of these, wonderful, you can do that. The only thing I will tell you is that number 3 and number 4, I believe, are the only ones that you can factor. I don't believe that the bottom 2, 5, and 6 are factorable. So if you want to factor, I think you can only do it with 3 and 4. You can attempt 5 and 6, but I haven't tried those yet. All right, so let's start with number 3. And since I want to show both methods. I'm going to show the factoring method for 3 and 4. For 5 and 6, we'll show the quadratic equation, or the quadratic formula. So, number 3. Whenever we want to factor a quadratic equation, what's the first thing we need to identify? A, B, and C. What's my A? 1. What's my B? 4. And my C? Negative 21. Good. And what do I do next? Good. I need to find the factors of negative 21. Now, negative numbers have factors with different signs. I'll have one positive number and one negative number. So, I know that my factored form is going to have x plus something and x minus something. So what are some of the factors of negative 21? Yeah, you could do 1 and negative 21. 3 and 7, but which one would be negative? We could do 7. Okay, but 3 minus 7, what's that give us? Negative 4. Ooh, we're really close to our answer. Our B is positive 4, and we got negative 4. Yeah, so if we get the right number but the wrong sign, all we got to do is switch the signs. Let's try negative 3 and positive 7, and we will get positive 4. So what goes in my parentheses?
X minus 3, X plus 1.
Good, x minus 3 and x plus 7. So I have factored my quadratic equation. How do I solve for the values of x now? Yes, 2 equations. We're going to set both of these equal to 0. X minus 3 equals 0, and x plus 7 equals 0. And to solve these, we're just doing the opposite how we've been doing. So to get rid of minus 3, what do? Add 3 to both sides. So plus 3 plus 3. My 3's cancel, so I get x equals 3. And guys, slow me down if I'm going too fast. I don't want to go too quick for you. And how do I solve this other equation? Yes, minus 7 from both sides. Beautiful. And we'll get x equals what? Negative 7. Good. Here are my answers. X is 3 and negative 7. You could also solve with the quadratic formula. However, whenever you're able to factor, if that's comfortable for you, sometimes it's a little quicker. Any questions about number 3? Anyone want me to wait a minute till we start 4? Are we ready? Okay, let's look at 4. We're going to also factor this one. We'll do the formula for 5 and 6. So what would my first step be here? Yes, let's identify our A, B, and C. Good. B is 13. C is 3. Good. So what do I do next?
Parentheses.
Yeah, I know I'm going to have some parentheses in my answer. Okay. Yeah, let's find our factors of C. So 1 and 3 or 3 and 1. Those are my only options. My C is positive, my B is positive, so I know that I'm going to have positive numbers no matter what. Now, what's going to go in these parentheses?
4 and 1 and 3.
Say it one more time.
1 and 3. You have 1, 4, X. Oh.
We are going to have a 1 and a 3 in here somewhere. But we also need to keep in mind that since our A is greater than 1, it won't just be X and X this time. It'll be X and 4X. Yes. X and 4X. So now we need to decide what goes where.
3 and 1.
3 first and 1 second? Sure, let's try that. 3 and 1. Ooh. So how'd you know that wasn't going to work? Yeah, I'm going to get 3x plus 4x times 1 is 4x. And I get 7x, so that can't be it. What if we just switch them? 4x plus 1 and x plus 3. Let's see if that works. 1x and 4 times 3 is 12x. My B is 13x, so that works. Okay, so I have my factored form. 4x plus 1 and x plus 3. But am I done? No, we got one more step. How do I solve for my values of x? We're going to make 2 equations. Let's start with 4x plus 1. bless you, equals 0. So how am I going to solve for x here? Good. We're going to start by subtracting 1 from both sides. And what does that leave me with?
4.
Good. I still have 4x equals 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And what should I do now? Good. Divide by 4. That'll get x by itself. Divide by 4. So x equals what? Yeah, you could keep it as a fraction if you want. X is negative 1/4. If you wanted, you could also divide it in your calculator and get a decimal. I am fine with either answer. X is negative 1/4 or negative 0.25. So there's our first x value. And what about our second one? Good. X plus 3 equals 0. We just took that other part of the factor. And we subtract 3 from both sides to get x equals negative 3. All right, there's our 2 answers. That is cute, Matt.
No, this is to crinkle it up. Please stop.
No, I like it. I'm not making fun of you. It actually looks good. How did she do that so fast?
You got to, Miss Taylor.
That's crazy. That would have taken me 3 hours.
Miss Matt.
Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Thank you. I appreciate your kindness.
All right, you guys. Any questions about number 4? Any questions?
Trying to see the other one that we did.
Which one?
The second one, the first one we just did was a 4 raised plus y equals 0.
Yes.
Okay, the second one is x plus 3 equals 0.
Yes.
Minus 3 x equals negative 3.
Yes.
I need to write that part down.
Yes. Okay, take your time. Yes, Gabby.
They're in
So
here.
I
Okay,
did the
after school.
other method,
Go ahead.
and for one of the answers, I got x equals negative 0.073.
0.073. Ooh, so I wonder, maybe we got one step wrong. Let's see. Let me grab a separate sheet. And while y'all are still copying this part down, let's look at the quadratic formula. Let's see what happened. So, Gabby, tell me, how did you start solving this one?
Okay, so I plugged in the numbers for the quadratic, which would be the negative 13 plus or minus, and then in the square root, 13 to
13 squared.
and then minus 4 times 1 times 3.
Ooh, there's your problem.
Oh,
Our A is 4, not 1. That's okay. So I bet you if you fix that and change it to a 4 instead of a 1, it'll change your answer as well. 4 times 4 times 3. And let's see. Did you also put 1 when you did 2 times A?
no, I did 4.
Ah! That is so funny. So I wonder. I guess we just forgot right there. Yep, so you could also do it this way. And I bet you'll get the same answer. Okay. Any other questions about number 4? Okay. Are we ready for number 5? Okie dokie. So let's look at number 5. Now we are going to use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, and I'm going to make myself a boundary line so I don't go too far over on accident. So using the quadratic formula, what should I do first? Yeah, let's identify A, B, and C. I think that's always the best first step, just to make sure we don't plug something in incorrectly. So for A, what value do we have?
2.
2. How about B?
-13.
Good, negative 13. And C? Negative 2. So, yes, the formula. So let's go ahead and write that out and leave some blanks. So I've got x equals negative, that's going to be B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. Okay. So what goes in the first space here? Good. Negative 13 is our B, plus or minus the square root of, same thing, negative 13 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is, good, negative 2, all divided by 2 times A, which is 2. Awesome.
How's about that?
There we go. So once we have all of our values plugged in, this is where we start simplifying. So I'm going to go ahead below and write x equals and start simplifying as I write down different parts. So
13
say it one more time.
plus 13.
Yes, so if I have a negative in the parentheses with another negative number inside, those negatives cancel. This is going to be positive 13 on the outside. So let's start with that. 13 plus or minus the square root.
159.
Yes, 13 squared or negative 13 squared should give you 169. Negative 13 squared, 169. Good.
Plus 16.
Yes, so negative 4 times 2 times negative 2. Let's type that in. Negative 4 times 2 times negative 2. So I'm doing this part right here. 16. Good, and that's plus 16. Those negatives canceled. All divided by 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Good. Okay. So here's where we are. Can I simplify anything else?
Add 169 and 16.
Yeah, let's go ahead and add the numbers under the radical. So 169 plus 16, 185. Is that what you guys got? Okay, good. So I'm going to cross that out and write 185. Okay. And where do we go from here?
You simplify down to 13 plus minus square root of 185 divided by 4.
Yes. So let's just make it all nice and neat. I've got x equals 13 plus or minus the square root of 185 divided by 4. So here is our fully simplified equation being used, our formula being used. And now we do the fun part. What's that? What are we doing from here? Yes, let's separate the plus and the minus. Once we get to this point, we're separating them. So we're going to have two different things happening here. We're going to have a plus version, and we're going to have a minus version. So we have 13 plus the square root of 185 divided by 4. And we have 13 minus the square root of 185. All of that divided by 4. 13 plus the square root of 185. Let's double check. Ooh, I got a different number. Did you leave out the square root?
Yeah, I left the square root on the page.
That's okay. That's okay. So don't forget to keep your square root when you're solving the top halves of your problems here. So I'm going to start with 13 plus the square root of 185. And I got 26.601. I'm going to keep 3 decimal points till the end. So 26.601. And what am I missing here? Over 4. We did not divide by 4 yet. That's where I think a lot of us get messed up. You'll get to that point, but you'll forget to divide. So now we take that number divided by 4. 6.650. Before we do the minus, does anyone have questions about any part of that process? And I'm just going to put 6.65. I'll usually keep 2 decimal points in my answer. However, I'm not grading you on that. If you put 3, if you put 1, I'm not going to take points off. Any questions about that part at all? Is anybody confused?
How do you get the square root on the calculator again?
Excellent question. So how do you get the square root on your calculator? You're going to hit the second button, that blue button at the top left-hand corner, and you're going to go down, I think 4 buttons where it says x squared.
Okay.
Click that. There's your square root.
Okay.
How do you spell parallelogram? Because I know this is a parallelogram.
Here, let me write it.
I remembered how to spell squares because I believe squares is Q-U-A-R-E.
That's all right. I'm not grading you on spelling anyway, but here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, how about we do the 13 minus square root of 185? I'm getting a negative number. Are you guys getting the same?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm getting negative 0.601 divided by 4 still. Perfect. Negative 0.15. And those would be our answers. Yep, there would be no way we would get that by factoring.
Are we gonna have more room on the final?
No. This is what your final will look like. You can use as much scrap paper as you want.
Okay, we just turn it all into you?
Yes, you'll just staple it to your final. So if you prefer to have lots more room to spread your work out, I usually do as well. Totally understand. You can have as much scrap paper as you need. It's all at the front. So good question. Yes. Okay. Do we have any questions about number 5? Any confusions? No?
Real quick.
Yeah.
Number 13, is the domain the same as the minimum maximum value?
Yes.
Or are there ones- okay.
Yes, exactly. Star, yes.
This is not related to this, but Jasmine says she's going to try, but since this is the week before Christmas.
Right.
They're busy at the, isn't it cute?
That is cute.
That's what she's dealing with right now.
Okay, no
Can
big
we
deal.
not be dealing with this instead?
Right? Okay, guys. Can we move to number 6? Awesome. Okay, number 6. A, B, and C. What are those?
A is 3, B is 7,
Good. C is -2. So we're going to do the same thing as before. Just plug it all in. X equals negative what? 7. Negative B. We're putting our B in that first spot. Good. Plus or minus the square root of what? 7 squared minus 4 times A 3, good, times -2, careful on your signs, all of that divided by 2 times 3, perfect. Okay, and let's simplify. Okay, our b is a positive number, so when we put a negative outside of it like this, it becomes what? Negative. It's going to be a -7 plus or minus the square root 49. That's what 7 times 7 is. And this was a really silly mistake I saw in a few of our quizzes in the past. Some of us are just doing 7 times 2. This is 7 squared. This means 7 times 7. Squared is different than just 7 times 2. We're multiplying that number by itself. Okay, so don't forget that. 7 times 7 is 49. And then, yeah, let's see. -4 times 3 times -2. Let's see. 4 times. It's 24. And is it positive or negative? Positive. Those two negatives cancel out, so we have 49 plus 24 divided by 2 times 3 is 6. Good. Yeah, so let's see. What are we going to do inside this square root? 49 plus 24, 73. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this out nice and neat like we did in the previous question. Now I have x equals -7 plus or minus the square root of 73 divided by 6. Remember, we're dividing everything by 6. Don't just divide one part. It's the whole thing. Okay. Once we get to this point, where do we go from here?
X equals -7
Uh-huh.
plus 73.
Yes.
Divided by 6.
Good. We're
And
gonna
then the exact same, but -73.
we're gonna do the split, the plus and the minus. So I have -7 plus the square root of 73 divided by 6, and I have -7 minus the square root of 73, all of that divided by 6. Okay, and we'll just type it in. Remember, we simplify the top half first and then we divide. If you type it all in at one time without using proper parentheses, your answer is not going to come out correct. We need to put -7 plus, let's see, square root of 73. That's my top number. Okay, 1.544 still needs to be divided by 6 though. And let's see what that gives us.
I got 0.257.
Yes, 0.257. Perfect. 257. That is our first x value. And let's get the second one. No biggie. -7 minus the square root.
-15.54.
Perfect. -15.544 still needs to be divided by 6.
2.59. -2.59.
Let's see. Yes, -2.59. If you wanted 3 decimal points, you could do 591. but I'm not going to be picky. You could even just make it negative 2.6 if you want. I always say, as a rule of thumb, the more decimal places you include, the more accurate your answer will be. Okay. That is number 6. First page is done. I know, it's a lot of stuff, guys, and we'll take some breaks. It's been 30 minutes so far. Okay. Anybody still need to see this first page? I'll leave it up for a minute. And remember, if you still need more, or maybe you didn't write everything down, you know, make a note. You can come and look at this after class, or it will be on YouTube as well and Google Classroom. Yes? Can you take your final today? If we finish this in time, yes. I do have it done. So, absolutely. Yes, yes, because they do have 2 periods. Okay, am I good to flip it? Yes, I hope. Okay, I'm going to flip it. All right, so now we're looking at the discriminant. This is 3 more kind of free points. If you have it filled out on your practice final, no way are you going to get it wrong on the final. This is a question that nobody missed last time around, which is great. So we're talking about the discriminant. That's that b squared minus 4ac. So I know we wrote it on this page before, but I don't want to flip back and forth. So I'm going to write it again. That's b squared minus 4 times a times c. And remember, the way that we've kind of grouped this is we find what b squared is, and we combine it with negative 4 times a times c. Those are our kind of order that we do it in. So for number 7, we have d is greater than 0, or the discriminant is greater than 0. That means it's a positive number. So if you need to write that, you're welcome to. So whenever our discriminant is positive or it's bigger than 0, how many solutions are there? 2. 2 real solutions. 2 RS. That'd be C for number 7. How about number 8? When the discriminant is less than 0, or when it's a negative number? No real solutions. 0 real solutions. Negative number. So that's going to be option A, no real solutions.
You realize the bonus and the actual final, you did are totally different.
It is slightly different. So this time, instead of finding triangles, it's circles. Same thing, different shape. Different shape. Okay, so now, how about number 9? When the discriminant is 0. 1 real solution. Good. Now don't copy paste when you take the final. These are not going to be in the same order. I'm going to tell you that now. Okay? It's going to be the same questions, not in the same order. Okay. All right, so let's look at 10 through 13. We're finding the discriminant. That's the first part. The second part is to determine how many real solutions there are. So you can use number 7, 8, and 9 as your guide for how many real solutions your answer has. So when we find the discriminant, it's super similar steps as using the quadratic formula, but instead of using the whole thing, we're just using this part, b squared minus 4ac. Hang on, Ella. So let's go through and start each problem with number 10 here. What do I identify first? A, B, and C. Good. What's my A? 1. B? 4. C? 3. Perfect. So let's plug our numbers in and find the answer. So b squared, what number do I put? 4. Good. Minus 4 times what? 1 times 3. Good. And then we just kind of simplify down. What's 4 times 4, or 4 squared?
16.
Good. So we have 16. And then negative 4 times 1 times 3. That's negative 12. Now what do I do? 16 minus 12 is 4. So our discriminant is 4. We're done with the first part. So I did give you spaces to write that in. I didn't even realize. 4. D is 4. How many real solutions? 2. 2 real solutions. So you could put it in the blanks if you want. You could also just do it down here. I'm fine with either. Go ahead.
Okay, how do we know this is what's really the solutions? How do we know solutions? Like how many times we can multiply that number
Say that one more time.
to get the real solution? Is how many times that number can be multiplied?
How many times
Like
which
to get
number?
the real solution like this, the real solution is 2.
Oh, okay. So the way that we know how many real solutions there are is by looking at what we get as our answer for the discriminant. So we got 4 as our answer. So we go up here where we see, okay, is the discriminant a positive number? Is it a negative number? Or is it just 0? So since 4 is a positive number, we know that when it's positive, there's 2 real solutions.
Okay.
So your only options for real solutions is either 0, 1, or 2.
Okay.
Those are your only options.
All right.
So we could even make a little key out to the side. Here, I'll get a sticky note. Maybe this would be more helpful. So whenever the discriminant is greater than 0, or when it's positive, two real solutions. When the discriminant is less than 0, or when it's a negative number, no real solutions, or 0. And when the discriminant is 0, we have 1 real solution. So we just use this key. Those are the only 3 options you'll ever have for real solutions. Just 0, 1, or 2.
I was really just confused to where it was coming from.
Right,
I
right.
was getting it, but as I told you, my brain don't be active right.
No, that's okay. And you know, I think you may not have been here whenever we did
Yeah.
this full explanation. So you're fine.
And I think
Don't
I only
worry.
did the lesson enough so I could get it done.
Right. No, you're okay. I appreciate you asking those questions because odds are somebody else is wondering the same thing.
Thank you. I definitely
Yeah.
writing it down here. So.
What you're looking for here is that number.
Yes, it's red, like the probability of drawing a red given the fact you've already drawn a green.
Okay, so it's the 5.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, y'all, let's see. Number 11, 12, 13. These are all the same exact type of problems, so I want to kind of ask you all, would you like to run through some more of these, or would we like to go forward and spend time on other things?
It was a squared I missed. I'm like, how did you get 4 for the discriminant? Because I got 8.
Can we run over number
Can we do
11?
another one?
Yes, okay, if we all want to, let's keep doing it. CJ, yes?
I need to do my test.
What is it, unit 3, 2? You did 3. Let me pause this. So, for number 11, let's identify A, B, and C. What's our A? 3. What's our B? Good. And our C? 10. Okay, let me zoom in a little. Okay, so what do we do? Remember our...
Times 9 by 9.
Good. Remember we're doing B squared,
Right.
and our B is negative 9. Minus 4 times A, 3 times C, 10. Okay, so let's break down both of these parts. Negative 9 squared really means what? What am I doing to find that?
Negative 9 times 9.
Negative 9 times negative 9.
Oh.
So what kind of answer are we going to get? Positive or negative? Positive. Anytime you square a number, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. You get a positive answer. So let's see. Negative 9 times negative 9.
81.
Positive 81. Good. So I'm going to cross that out right. 81.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Okay, now what am I doing with the second half of numbers?
Negative 4
Uh-huh.
times 3
Yes.
times 10.
Good. We're just multiplying them. Negative 4 times 3 times 10 is?
Negative 120.
Good. Negative 120. Minus 120. So now what do I do? 81 minus 120.
This is negative 39.
Yes, we get negative
It
39.
would be minus negative 120, right?
No, it would be minus 120. Because we have a negative 4 times positive 3 times positive 10. Unless you're doing it this way,
Never mind.
then it would just be plus negative 120, which is still minus 120. So you'll get a negative for that second half, no matter what. Since there's only one negative number, there's not another one to cancel it.
So our
Okay,
discriminant
okay,
is
good.
gonna be negative 39.
Negative 39 is our discriminant. So, how many real solutions are there? Zero. Because when our discriminant is negative, there's no real solutions. So we write 0 or 0RS. Okay. Any questions on number 11? Can we do 12? Anybody still need a minute? Okay, let's look at 12. Same kind of problem. Let's identify A, B, and C.
Negative
A is negative 5, B is negative 7, C is 8. So, I'm going to do B squared, which is negative 7 squared, minus 4 times A, which is, what's our A? Negative 5, good, times C, which is 8. Okay, so let's see, negative 7 squared. What does that really mean? What are we doing here? Negative 7 squared.
7 times negative 7.
Good, negative 7 times negative 7.
It's going to put us at 49.
49. So now we have D equals 49.
4
So,
times negative 5
yes,
times
negative 4
8
times
equals
8.
160.
All right, negative 4 times negative 5 times 8 is positive 160. So that means we're adding these two numbers. 49 plus 160. 209. Good. Oop, 209. Okay, so our discriminant is 209. How many real solutions? 2. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, amazing. Wonderful. Any questions about number 12? We ready for 13 or do we need a minute? Okay, take your time. Okay, let's look at 13 now. You guys tell me what to do.
Identify A, B.
Yes.
A is negative 2, B is 9, C is -1.
Perfect. A is -2, B is 9, C is -1. I'm not going to write anything until you tell me to. What do I write?
Plug it into your equation.
Yes, we are plugging it in. D equals,
I mean, it's
81 minus 4.
good, 9 squared minus 4 times -2 for A times -1 for C. Good. Okay, we got it all plugged in. What next?
9 squared is 81.
Yes, 9 squared. That's 9 times 9. That's 81. Minus, yes, -4 times -2 times -1. That's going to give you a negative number.
That just missed that whole thing, because I was thinking about that middle.
Yeah, so when we do -4 times -2, we get +8. Then we take it times -1, and it becomes -8. So let's type that in our calculator too. Maybe we can see that. If you're getting mixed up with your negatives, you can always rely on your calculator. -4 times -2 times -1. -8. We were right. Okay, so I have 81 and minus 8. Yeah, 81 minus 8. 73. D equals 73. So I'm going to write that in. And I heard somebody say it, 2 real solutions. Okay, so I put these on here pretty randomly, meaning there's not a real rhyme or reason. If you don't get any that say 1 real solution, if you don't get any that say none, if you get all 2 real, I don't remember what I put. So don't get scared if you have similar answers, or you see, we got 2 real solutions 3 times. I didn't really make sure it was an even amount. So, as long as you're doing your math correctly, you should be good. Do we have any questions about this page in general? Does everybody feel okay about these? Feel all right? Okay. Can we go to page 3?
Yes, it's graphical.
No, not yet?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
This is gonna give me the graphical.
Okay. Page 3. We are identifying our features of our parabola. So we have done this before. This time, because a lot of us forgot to label our graph, I went ahead and gave you slots to put your coordinate labels in. Hi, Jeremiah. So that way, whenever you do your labeling, hopefully it'll prevent you from forgetting. So let's start by looking at the direction of our opening. Is it up or down?
It's up.
Up. Circle up. Good. Now, what is our vertex?
Bottom point.
Yes, it's going to be that bottom middle point. The vertex is always the lowest point, or if it's facing down, the vertex will be the highest point.
So what's -186?
Let's see. Our x direction, we go over -1, and y, we go down -6. Good.
I really just guessed.
What do we do?
So we're looking at our vertex. Our vertex is that middle lower point right here. So it's -1 in the x direction, -6 in the y. So here's our vertex, -1, -6. And I'm going to label that on my graph as well. -1, -6. Okay. Now, here's a trick for finding your axis of symmetry. Let me label my x and y, because this is going to be very helpful. Once you know your vertex, guess what you can do to find your axis of symmetry? Does anybody know the trick? It's just going to be the x value from your vertex. It's -1. Because remember, the axis of symmetry, that's going to be that line that separates the middle of the graph. So we want to draw that like this, little dotted line going down the center. And as you can see, it goes through -1 on the x-axis, which is our x value of our vertex. So x is -1. So if you wanted to make a little note to help you remember when you take the quiz, maybe we could circle these and say, the same. Those should always be the same. If you put a different number for one of them, you know you should check your answers. They should be the same.
-4 and 2.
Ah, yes. Okay, so let's look at our zeros.
Oh, okay,
So you said -4 right here? Perfect. So -4, does that go on the x spot or the y spot?
X.
X. And what goes in the y? Always 0 for your zeros. Here's the trick. Your zeros is where y equals 0. So you could go ahead and just put those in, the zeros for y. And then your x is -4. And what else is your x? 2. Good. So let's label those. We've got -4, 0, and +2, 0. Okay. Now we got a y-intercept. Can somebody describe that to me? Yes. Yes. It's going to be the point touching the y-axis. So if we're touching the y-axis, our x is always 0. And our y, in this case, is -5. Perfect. And then I tried to give you guys some bonus opportunities. So same bonus as last time around. I'm going to have you identify the domain and range. It's optional because we didn't talk about it very much. So remember your domain, let's take a little note if you're wanting to do the bonus. The domain talks about the x values. So let's make a little note. X values. Oh, my bad. Domain. You got me. So the domain is our x values. That means how far will the graph stretch from left to right?
-infinity to
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And free bonus point, your domain is always -infinity, parenthesis, comma, +infinity, parenthesis. Now to get the points, you need to have parenthesis, negative sign, infinity, comma, infinity, parenthesis. It's very specific.
Would that be the same for range, just switch?
Very similar for range, very similar. So let's talk about that. We always go from smallest value to largest. So for range, we're talking about y values. And then that's up and down. So we're going to start from the smallest number. Where is the lowest that my graph touches? -6. So since we're putting a number there instead of infinity, we don't use a parentheses. We use a bracket. And we say -6, comma, and how high does this go? Infinity. The arrows mean they go forever. So -6, comma, infinity, parenthesis. That's your domain and range. Totally optional. You don't have to do it, but if you do, you'll get some bonus points. So there is your parabola labeled. Any questions about 13? Okay, we're going to start getting to some stuff that is a little more recent. And I'm about to move down. If you need to write anything on here, say so now. Anyone still writing? I don't want to move on if you're not ready. Are we ready? Okay, so let's look at 14. Now we're looking at probability. So we are referring to this bag of marbles. I drew them, but just in case the copier did it kind of funny, I also wrote the number of marbles here. So I am asking you, what is the probability of drawing a green marble, then without replacing it, drawing a red marble?
6 out of 18.
Okay, is that green?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Star, you had your hand up.
That was what I was just gonna answer.
Perfect. Okay, so there's 6 green, and you said there's 18 total, right? Okay, so the probability of drawing a green on the first go would be 6 out of 18. Could we simplify this?
Yes. Over 9.
Yes, so we'll divide this by 2, maybe? And 6 divided by 2 is 3. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Could we simplify more?
Yes.
We could. We could divide both by 3. So you could have divided by 6 in the beginning, but that's okay. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 1/3 is the probability of drawing a green. Now, the second line here, does anybody remember what it means when you see something written like this?
It means
One right after the other.
One
without
red,
replacing it.
so
Kind of.
one is independent and one is dependent.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, everybody's like getting it right on the edge. What it means, or I guess how you would read it, would be what is the probability of drawing a red marble given the fact, oh, this line means given the fact that you already drew a green marble. Meaning, what's the probability you can draw red after green's already gone? This is the probability of both happening, of drawing a green and then a red. So this is when we've taken a marble away. What's the probability we draw a red once a green is gone?
5 over 17.
Yes, so we have 5 red and there's 17 marbles left, no longer 18 because we took one out. So 5 over 17. Can we simplify?
No.
Nope, that's it. Now how do we find this? Probability of drawing a green and then drawing a red.
We're not doing decimals. Green is 6 over 18, and red is 5 over 17.
Yes, so we could do, we have our 6 over 18 and our 5 over 17, or 1/3 and 5 over 17. I'll do it both ways. 6 over 18 or 1/3. I'm showing the simplified versus non-simplified. Then we have 5 over 17. And what am I doing with those two fractions?
Timesing them,
Yes, we're timesing them.
multiplying.
Multiplying.
1 times 5 and 2 times 17.
Yes, so here's where you'll see that simplifying helps a little. Because 1 times 5 and 3 times 17 is a little easier than those, but I guess if you're using a calculator, it doesn't make a big difference. So let's make sure. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 17 is
51.
51. Okay, and then 6 times 5 would give us 30 over 18 times 17. 306. So you're going to get 2 different fractions if you don't simplify. Is this top fraction wrong?
No.
No, it's still the right answer. Because if we divide them out, you're going to get the same decimal, you're going to get the same percentage. So let's find our decimal and our percentage now. How do we find our decimal?
Divide 5.
Yeah.
51 by, divide 5 by 51.
5 divided by 51 is, and I would say as a rule of thumb, keep at least 3 decimal places until you get your full answer. So,
0.9.
yeah, 0.098. We could keep it with those 3. I'm good with that.
Yes. The percentage is 9.8.
Good. So we go over 1, 2, and we get 9.8%. Now let's make sure we get the same answer with the 30 and the 306.
Quick question.
We do. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Are we not doing the decimal point in the percentage for the other two, or are we just doing it for the last one?
Just for the final answer. So, on number 14, I was just asking, what is the probability of drawing a green and then a red? I mostly just put these other two to kind of give you a hint to how to solve that in case we forgot. I'm only going to look for the decimal and percentage for that final answer.
Okay.
If you put it, you know, it won't be wrong, but it will be an extra step that you don't necessarily have to do. Okay, and I'm just writing here, you'll get the same answer even if you didn't simplify your fraction. So yeah. Okay, any questions on this problem? Everybody okay with it? Anybody need more time to copy this down? Questions, anything? Can we go to the next page? And I do see the time, we have 5 minutes. So we are not completely done with this yet. We still have this last page and the bonus on the back, okay? We have one more bonus opportunity. So I gave you guys some bonus opportunities here. This one's a tough bonus though. This is where I'm going to have you graph a parabola. If you can do it, you get some bonus points. Yes, just for a bonus. Yes, I will show you how to do it. So the last two things we need to go over are substitution and elimination. What I think I'm going to do is, since we have 5 minutes, if any of you need to go right now, I know some of y'all got little ones you need to pick up, some of you have other things that you've got to do during lunchtime. Before lunch, I think I'll run through quickly one of each of these, but you can leave if you need to. That way, after lunch, I can finish the rest. That way, if you didn't get to see one, or whatever.
Are we taking a test today?
No, unless you just really want to and you feel good about it.
Okay.
So I have it ready. You can take it today if you want. But my suggestion is always going to be, you know, I think the best way to study is to get a blank copy of the practice final. Go home, take it again. See how you do. Check it against your answer key you make. You know? So, okay, actually, how about this? We now have only 4 minutes. I'm worried. I don't want to rush this. Scratch what I just said. Let's go ahead to lunch. We'll finish the rest after lunch, and then we'll go from there. So, ending the recording, or pausing it. I'll see you after lunch. Pause. We're back from lunch. Now we have systems of equations, and we are solving first by substitution. So whenever we use substitution, what are we doing to set this up?
Aren't we just, the x's, we just need to add everything? Hold on, wait, I'm getting mixed up.
Ooh, so that would be with the elimination method,
Yeah, okay,
but
so I'm mixed up.
I just heard April say it. We're going to set these equal to each other. So we've got 1.2x plus 3 and 0.8x minus 3. We're just going to rewrite both of these with an equal sign in the middle. So 1.2x plus 3 equals 0.8x minus 3.
That's right.
And we're going to solve for x here. So once we have them set equal to each other, we have two options for moving forward. We could start by getting our x's on the same side, or we could start by moving over our non-x numbers to the same side. What are you guys thinking? What do you guys want to start with? With x? Okay. So which one of these do you think would help us more to move? Or does it matter?
Subtracted 0.8 from 1.2.
Sure, let's do that. Minus 0.8x minus 0.8x So we're gonna get rid of that. Now we gotta see, what is 1.2x minus? It sure is 0.4x. Okay, and what do we do from here?
Bring everything else down.
Bring it all down.
Plus 3
Yes.
x.
Do we have any more x's to bring down?
I'm tripping.
That's okay.
Okay, plus minus 3.
Yeah, so we have a plus 3 still. We still have our equal sign, and we still have minus 3. Now, I'm going to highly encourage you guys to bring every little thing down. I see some work where you won't bring the equal sign down, just the numbers, and then if that equal sign gets misplaced, your answer's not going to be correct. You might solve it in the not quite right way. So we want to be real particular with how we write our work down. Okay, so what do I do next?
Subtract 3.
Sure, let's subtract 3. My plus 3 and minus 3 cancel. What happens here?
Negative 6.
Yes, negative 3 minus 3 is the same thing as negative 3 plus negative 3. That's going to give us negative 6. Then we'll bring down our equal sign and our 0.4x. And what's the last step?
Divide by 0.4.
Good. Divide by 0.4, which will cancel that. Do it to both sides. So I'm going to type in my calculator negative 6 divided by 0.4. Negative 15. Awesome. So x equals negative 15. All right, so since we have our x value, we can go ahead and put that in the x spot of our solution. And don't forget, x always comes first in a coordinate. So negative 15 is our x. And what could we do to solve for y?
Plug that negative 15 into one of our equations.
Yes, we are going to plug negative 15 into either one of these equations. Both should work. Yeah, let's do the first one. So I'm going to rewrite the whole thing, but I'm going to replace x with the value we found. So I've got y equals 1.2x. Instead of x, we're taking it times negative 15 plus 3. Okay, so let's see, 1.2 times negative 15. Yep, negative 18.
So your answer is negative 15.
So I got negative 18 plus 3 equals negative 15. Yes, and if we're unsure about adding those negatives, negative 18, I just put plus 3 in my calculator. I get negative 15. What do you know? Our x and y are the same.
Now, how's about that?
Yes, see, we got y equals negative
I
15.
myself on that, like, are they both the same?
Yeah, that turned out nicer numbers than I thought we would. Well, good. Okay, does anybody have questions about number 15? Is anybody confused about how we did any of these steps? Know where we got a number possibly, or everybody okay with it? Okay, can we do 16?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. So, what do we do to start? We want to set them equal. Good. So, I'm going to circle my second halves so I know what I'm setting equal to what. X plus 5 equals negative 5x plus 17. Okay. should we do from here?
By our X.
Yeah, we could add the 5x. Let's do that. Plus 5x to both sides. So my negative 5x and my plus 5x, those are going to cancel. What's x plus 5x? 6x. Good. And what do I do next? Bring everything down. Good. I still have plus 5 equals, good, 17. Now what?
Subtract 5.
Good. Subtract 5 from both sides. My plus 5 and minus 5 cancel. Good. 6x equals 17 minus 5 is 12. Divide by 6. And x equals 2. So there's our x. What do we do next?
Plug it into one of our equations.
Plug it into the equation. Let's use the top one. That one looks simplest.
Simple enough.
Yes. So we'll do y equals, what am I writing? Yes. My x is 2 plus 5. So y equals 7. Look at that. That was a nice and easy one. Good deal. Okay. Any questions on 16? Okay. Let you guys write that down. I'll slowly get ready for the next one. So here we go. All right, if I'm going too fast, let me know. 17 and 18, we are solving with elimination. So this method is a little different. What do we do to solve by elimination?
Oh,
Yes,
together. That's what I'm
we're
saying.
adding them together. So something I saw that a few people made mistakes on the last quiz we took involving elimination is they would see like a negative sign and they would think, oh, I'm subtracting everything. Not necessarily. We are really adding these together. I'm adding 3x minus 6y equals 19 to negative x plus 6y equals negative 3. So I'm going to add each of my terms one at a time. So I would start with what is 3x plus negative x?
2.
2x. Good. What's negative 6y plus positive 6y?
0.
They cancel. 0. So we just cross that off. And now, what is 19 plus negative 3? Or 19 minus 3?
16.
19, 18, 17, 16. Yes, that is correct. So now we have this nice pretty little 2x equals 16. So we just divide by 2. And we get x equals 8. Perfect. X equals 8. Okay. So remember, same as last time, x comes first in the coordinate, then y. So once you've gotten your x, go ahead and put it in there. 8 is our x for number 17. And how do we solve for y?
Plug the x into our top equation.
Yes, we're just going to plug the value we found for x into either one of the equations. We'll go with the top one. So I'm rewriting exactly what I see. 3 times x minus 6 times y equals 19. And what am I solving for? Y. So 8 is what we found for x, so we're going to plug that in where x used to be. Yes. 3 times 8 is 24. We'll bring everything else down. Minus 6y equals 19.
Subtract 24 from both sides.
Good. Subtract 24 from both sides. 24's cancel. So what happens here?
Negative 6y.
Good. Negative 6 times y equals 19 minus 24 is negative 5.
Divided by negative 6.
Good. And then we divide by negative 6 to get y by itself. So, y equals, yes. So we should get a positive or a negative number? A positive. Our negatives cancel. So you could put two different things for y. I would accept both. You could get 5 over 6 if you prefer the fraction. Or you could type that in and get 0.83 repeating. Just the 3's repeating. So, or 0.83. Both of those are just fine with me. And that's all there is to it for number 17. Yes?
I have a question. Can you go back up to 16 real quick? I was just making sure I got it.
Yes. Do you need me to go further up?
No, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Okay. Quick pause. Okay, we're recording.
You wasn't recording, were you?
No, I was recording the whole time, just not the last, maybe this part here. So, okay. All we did is we added each part together. The 2's canceled. Y minus 3y makes minus 2y. 9 plus 3 is 12. We divided by negative 2. Y is negative 6. We took the top equation, plugged in our y, and now we're here. Okay. So what do we do now?
2 times negative 6.
Are we taking 2 times negative 6?
At 60.
No, because we have 2 times x
Yeah.
plus
Yeah.
y.
Okay, because it's still not.
Mm.
Okay, 2x.
What are we going to do here? This one's a little tricky.
Add 6.
Wasn't here?
Oh, yes. So another thing that might be confusing to some people, when you see plus a negative number, this is the same thing as 2x minus 6. You don't need the plus sign anymore. 2x minus 6 equals 9. That might look a little easier to move things around. Now I see I want to get x by itself. So to get x by itself, we should probably get rid of negative 6, right? So to do that, we want to do the opposite and add 6. Yes. So now I have 2 times x equals 9 plus 6 is 15. Yes, and then we just divide by 2 to get, yes. X equals 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. And that's our x, not our y. So we put it in the x spot. Okay, now before we move on, does anybody have questions about that one?
I just get the quiz now.
Do what?
I just get the final.
Yes. Uh-huh. Do you want to see the bonus first? Just in case? It'll take about 5 minutes. I would suggest it.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Okay, let's look at the bonus now. This is something we have not done together, but when we break it down, it's not so bad. So let's see.
Oh, Lord.
So for our bonus opportunity, first of all, this is optional. You don't have to do it. If you're done by the time you get here, you can be done. But it's not so bad. So we are going to be drawing the graph of the quadratic equation right here. And this is in a form that we haven't looked at together. It's called vertex form. So I'm going to tell you what that means. Your equation is in this form. Y equals a, and then you'll see parentheses, x minus h squared plus k. Here's how we do it. It's not so bad. It's not as scary as it looks. First of all, your vertex, the reason it's called vertex form is because your vertex is going to be these letters, H and K. So next to vertex, let's write that, H, comma, K.
So instead of X and Y.
Yeah, H and K.
Okay.
So, let's pay attention to this formula here. It says X minus H. So H is just by itself. We're not worried about that negative necessarily. And then there's plus K. So, in this equation I give you, what number is my H? 1. Good. So there's my X value of my vertex. And what's my K?
5 and negative 5.
Negative 5. Good. So if it says a minus here in the X minus H, this is going to be positive, okay? This is the only thing that changes. What's inside the parentheses? If it's a plus, then you have a negative number. We're just looking at the number itself. And then we have 1 and negative 5 here for our vertex. And then do you guys remember the trick I gave you for how to know what the axis of symmetry is based off the vertex?
It should be the same as.
It's going to be the same as your X value for your vertex. So remember, this is X, Y. Your X is 1. So we can already draw that part. My vertex is at 1, negative 5. So let's go over 1 and down to negative 5. That's my vertex. And then my axis of symmetry is at X equals 1. So right here. Okay, so I've got that so far. I've got my vertex, I've got my axis of symmetry.
So
Went
that
over
would be
1 and down negative 5.
Mm-hmm. So we've got that so far. All right. And guess what we're going to do to find the rest of our parabola? It's not as bad as it might seem.
Is this where we start adding all the numbers? Choosing numbers? Like
Yes.
we do with the V?
Yes. It's a lot like absolute value. What we're going to do is we're going to choose values for X.
If that's the case, if we're choosing, may I choose to have already gotten this right?
No, doesn't work that way.
I tried.
So we already have an X that is 1, so we're not going to use 1 because we already have that. X is 1. When X is 1, Y is negative 5. So we're going to try, how about, yeah, 0. We could try X is 0. So let's write our equation out. Y equals 3 times, let's do X is 0 here. So instead of X, I'll write 0 minus 1 squared minus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and write in a 0 for X of this first coordinate here. Okay. So 0. Let's see what happens. So to solve for Y, all we're going to do is use the order of operations and go through and solve whatever this number comes out to be.
So that would be a positive.
Yes. So what am I doing first then? 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. And what do I do next? Squared. What is negative 1 times negative 1? Positive 1. So let's go ahead and rewrite what we've done so far. We did 0 minus 1 and got negative 1. Then we did negative 1 squared and got positive 1. So now I have Y is 3 times positive 1 minus 5. And 3 times 1 is what? Just 3 minus 5, which is Negative 2. So look at that. When x is 0, y is negative 2. So let's go to x is 0, which is right here in the middle, and y is negative 1, negative 2. And guess what? This is what makes this really nice and easy. This is an axis of symmetry, meaning whatever is happening on one side is also happening on the other. So if I have a point right here at 0, negative 2, where is another point that's symmetrical? Right across the little axis here. Exactly. We also know that we have x is 2 and y is negative 2. So there's 2 points already. You're halfway done.
It's only hard. Don't worry about it.
You got this.
Mm-hmm.
What's another x value we could use? We just did 0. We could either do something less than 0 or maybe something more than 2. I suppose we could also do something even smaller in between, but I like to work with whole numbers.
Let's try 3.
3?
I was thinking
Yeah.
3 and negative 1.
Okay, so let's try x equals 3. So this time it'll be y equals, and I'm just taking this original equation, y equals x minus 1, or 3 minus 1 squared. Oh, I almost left out my 3 times outside of there. My bad, guys. Y equals 3 times 3 minus 1 squared minus 5. Okay. What is 3 minus 1? 2. 3 times 2 squared minus 5.
2 squared is 4.
Yes. So now I have y equals 3 times 2 times 2 is, or 2 squared is 4 minus 5. Now what do I do?
3 times 4 is 12.
Good. Y is 3 times 4 is 12 minus 5. What's 12 minus 5? 7. So y is 7 when x is 3. So I'm going to write that coordinate. X is 3, y is 7. I'm also going to plot it. So I go over to 3 on the x-axis and up to 7. Where else can I make a point?
Let's try negative 2.
Yeah, so we have from 2 to 3, from 0 to negative 2, or let's see, negative 1. It's really tricky when our axis of symmetry is so close to 0 because it's easy to confuse the two. You think, oh, it's 2 away from the axis, so I'll go 2 away from the axis. But this is 3 away. We want to go 2 away from that dotted line. So you see that?
Yeah.
Now we have enough points to make a parabola. We have another one at x is negative 1 and y is 7. And I'm not going to grade you on how perfectly you connect the dots, but your final step here would just to be connecting these in the best way you can. It's going to look kind of like this. Mine's not great either. But that's really all there is to it. You get your vertex from your equation. Your axis of symmetry is basically given from that point. And then you just find your coordinates by plugging in values for x. Not so bad. Do we have questions?
Nope. Would you like us to show work how we came up with those lines and such?
I would, just in case we are off by like 1 or 2, I would still love to give partial credit looking at work.
I'm just,
Are you not showing your work, Star?
I'm showing it, you just gotta want to.
He did that on purpose.
Oh my gosh.
That does it.
Y'all are goofy. Okay. Do we have any questions though? Other questions?
Oh, yeah.
Concerns?
I'm gonna try it too, like.
Okay. So guys, I do want to offer everyone the opportunity. You can try and take the final now. However, it is 1:15 and our class ends in 45 minutes. So if you don't feel like that's enough time for you and you have a fourth period, I don't want you to be late to your next class. Now, if you don't have a fourth period, you're welcome to take your time and stay in here. So just keep that in mind. But if there are no questions, then I'm going to offer you guys the opportunity. You can try to go ahead and take the final, and I'm going to work on the answer key. That way I can get them graded for you guys as quickly as possible. So that is all.